Cinderella, also known as Cinderella or the Little Glass Slipper, is a classic fairy tale that has been told and retold in various forms across different cultures. The story follows the journey of a young girl named Cinderella who, despite facing hardships and mistreatment from her stepmother and stepsisters, ultimately finds her happily ever after with the help of a fairy godmother and a magical glass slipper.
Let's start.
Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a kind and beautiful girl named Cinderella. She was the daughter of a wealthy merchant, but tragically, her mother passed away when she was young. Cinderella's father, wanting to provide his daughter with a mother figure, married a woman who had two daughters of her own. However, Cinderella's new stepmother and stepsisters were cruel and jealous of her beauty and kindness. After her father died, Cinderella was forced to become a servant in her own home, doing all the household chores and never receiving any kindness or appreciation from her stepfamily. Despite her hardships, Cinderella remained gentle and kind, finding solace in the company of the animals that lived in the house, including mice, birds, and a friendly old dog named Bruno. One day, an invitation arrived at the house from the palace, announcing a grand ball to be held in honor of the prince. The entire kingdom was invited, and all eligible maidens were encouraged to attend in the hopes of catching the prince's eye. Cinderella's stepsisters were overjoyed at the prospect of meeting the prince and immediately began preparing their gowns and accessories for the ball. As Cinderella watched her stepsisters excitedly getting ready for the ball, she couldn't help but wish she could attend as well. However, her stepmother had no intention of allowing Cinderella to go to the ball, knowing that her beauty and grace would outshine her own daughters. Instead, she assigned Cinderella even more chores, ensuring that she would be too busy to even dream of attending the ball. Alone in her room, Cinderella couldn't hold back her tears as she thought of the magical evening she was missing. Suddenly, a soft voice spoke to her from the shadows of the room. It was her fairy godmother, who had been watching over her all along. With a wave of her wand and a sprinkle of fairy dust, the fairy godmother transformed Cinderella's tattered rags into a beautiful gown, complete with glass slippers that sparkled like diamonds. "Go to the ball, my dear Cinderella," the fairy godmother said. "But remember, you must leave before the stroke of midnight, for the magic will only last until then." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Cinderella thanked her fairy godmother and set off for the palace in her enchanted attire. As she arrived at the ball, all eyes turned to her, captivated by her beauty and grace. The prince himself was struck by Cinderella's radiance and asked her to dance with him, much to the dismay of her stepsisters, who failed to recognize her in her new guise. Throughout the evening, Cinderella and the prince danced and talked, their connection growing stronger with each passing moment. Cinderella felt like she was living a dream, surrounded by music, laughter, and the warmth of the prince's gaze. However, as the clock struck midnight, Cinderella remembered her fairy godmother's warning and knew she had to leave before her magic faded. In her haste to depart, Cinderella dropped one of her glass slippers on the palace steps. The prince, determined to find the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart, picked up the slipper and declared that he would search the kingdom for the owner of the delicate shoe. Back at her home, Cinderella's gown transformed back into rags, and she was once again surrounded by the harsh reality of her stepfamily's cruelty. However, she held on to the memory of the magical night she had experienced at the ball, knowing that true love had found its way into her life. Cinderella's house, carrying the glass slipper that she had left behind. The stepsisters eagerly tried to squeeze their feet into the slipper, but it was too small for them. As the heralds prepared to leave, Cinderella stepped forward, her heart pounding with hope.
With bated breath, Cinderella tried on the glass slipper, and to everyone's amazement, it fit her perfectly. The prince, who had accompanied the heralds in disguise, revealed himself and declared Cinderella to be the mysterious maiden he had been searching for. Overjoyed, he asked her to marry him, and Cinderella accepted, her heart brimming with happiness and gratitude. And so, Cinderella's story had a happy ending as she married the prince and left behind her life of hardship and mistreatment. With her kindness, grace, and unwavering spirit, Cinderella had proven that true love and goodness can triumph over adversity, and that dreams really do come true for those who believe in magic and the power of love. As Cinderella rode off into the sunset with her prince, her fairy godmother watched over her, knowing that her beloved Cinderella had found her happily ever after and would live happily ever after in the palace, surrounded by love, joy, and the promise of a bright future. And so, the tale of Cinderella, the kind and courageous maiden who overcame adversity and found true love, continues to inspire and enchant readers of all ages, reminding us that no matter how dark the night may seem, there is always hope, magic, and the possibility of a happily ever after waiting just around the corner.